and stay focused and enjoy. So who's the webinar for? Well, first of all, it's for fast action takers who want to start or expand their portfolio, and committed people who want to build a portfolio, and if you want to replace your job and need a step-by-step plan. But it's not for course junkies, nor for those that are looking to get rich quick. All right, property is not a get rich quick scheme. It's a get rich slowly scheme. So the things we're going to talk about tonight: definition and different types of an HMO, HMO legislation and HMO regulations, the Housing Act, HMO licensing, how to choose the right property, give you some deal examples, some actual live deal examples to give you an idea of what can be done, finding the tenants and the different types of tenants that you could possibly put into an HMO, and the day-to-day management of actually running an HMO. So this is the PMA team, myself, Jackie, Peter, been business partners now for a while, founders, mentors, friends, over 80 years property and business experience between us. A little bit about myself. So I own a large portfolio based in the UK. I'm also CEO of Max Property Group, which is a European-based property investment fund and crowdfunding platform with over 6 million euros under management. I was the co-founder of Property Master Academy, and I specialize in helping entrepreneurs and professionals achieve financial freedom and create real wealth through property. So that's enough about me. Let me introduce you to Peter, who's going to be the main presenter today.
Good evening, everyone. Peter Licorinas. I can see by the names there's a lot of you that I do know, but there's also a huge amount of people that I don't know. So welcome. I'm looking forward to getting to know you this evening and telling you a bit about my journey with HMOs and definitely answering all your questions, hopefully giving you some tricks and tips to take away with you, and chat as much as we can with the time that we have. So who am I? I'm Peter Licorinas. I've been in property 22 years and I love property. Property and people are my passions. I own an estate agency. I run an investors club. I would say in general, I'm a property expert, but I eat, I sleep, I breathe HMOs, and I'm practicing what I preach, and I'm involved in HMOs every day of my life. And for ourselves, for our companies, for our mentees, and for our investors that we build portfolios for, we're doing between 4 and 6 HMOs every single month. So as legislation changes, so do we. As the needs and requirements change, so do we. And hopefully I can talk a bit more about that this evening, and hopefully you'll see how passionate I am about helping people and doing what we do. I'm fortunate enough to own 6 different property companies. A CEO of HMO on steroids, nice disruptive name, a HMO Premier, the Heritage Investment Group, to name a few, as well as Refurb and Develop. I'm a partner of Property Master Academy with Mark and Jackie. Mark, Jackie and I have been friends for a long time, and we work really well. We're extremely different, which is why the 3 of us just work so well together. So yeah, it's really nice to get to know everyone tonight. I love mentoring. I love helping entrepreneurs. I've always been an entrepreneur myself since I was a young kid. I love building portfolios, doing development myself, and just helping investors however I can. So an introduction to the team. This is probably the most important thing you're going to need to build if you're going to get into HMOs. Okay, so look at our team, and these are just the bare minimum that you need to succeed working with HMOs. My favourite person in each area I operate in, the local council. Okay, this is a big mistake, believe it or not, that a lot of HMO landlords make. They try and do it without involving the council. They try and do it without befriending the council, because it can be very, very difficult to get on board with the local councils. A lot of the time there are 2 or 3 different people that will deal with HMOs. So you've got to put the time in. You've got to get to know who the HMO officer is, the planning officer, and the other relevant people, which will be different in each council. You need a project manager. I have 2 project managers. I'm a project manager myself, and between us, we're on sites every single day. Obviously, you need a finance specialist. At the end, we're going to share some of our power team with you, by the way, because we know how hard it can be to start, and we want to help everyone along the way. But not just a financial advisor, but somebody that understands property investing, ideally a property investor, financial advisor, a wealth advisor that has or is investing in properties themselves. Solicitors, different types of solicitors. If you're doing option agreements, you might need one solicitor, another solicitor for conveyancing, and then a solicitor that really understands HMOs. Kira and Sarah, we've been working with for some time. They just get it when it comes to HMOs, covenants, Article 4, which we'll talk a bit more about later, I'm sure, and all the other complications. There he is again, the HMO officer. Legislation, a geek. If you're not a geek, you're going to need a geek, because rules are changing every other month. All the councils have different rules and regulations, although there is a minimum standard across the UK. Refurb teams, we have probably around about between 30 and 40 trades at any one time, split between 3 big teams, and they're incredible, and it's taken us years to build those people up. But if you don't have a good refurb team and a good project manager, then you better believe it, any refurb, any HMO refurb you do will end up costing you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thousands of pounds more than initially quoted. If you have a good one, they will very, very rarely go over. My favorite part of every single HMO, the interior design, okay, and getting the right furniture in there. Again, we'll talk a bit more about how to dress a HMO a bit later. And letting a management team, really, really important, especially coming out of COVID. It's definitely been a more challenging time than we've ever seen. So you need a good letting and management team to manage investors, to manage you, to find the tenants, to adapt, to change, and be ready. My prediction is by probably the end of August, the demand for tenants, key workers, professionals moving into HMOs is going to be massive. So you've got to get ready for that. You need some good accountants. I think, Mark, how many accountants we have? 2 or 3 that we use across companies?
Yeah, at least.
So having good accountants is really important. Okay. So what are HMOs? A HMO is a building or part of a building that's occupied by 3 or more people and 2 or more family groups who share basic facilities. Why HMOs? I've been in property 22 years. HMOs have been performing forever. And everyone always says, well, you know, will they last? Yes, they will. All they will do is evolve and continue to evolve, in like everything does in property and like every property strategy does. I really got thick into HMOs about 12 years ago. I was working in Reading, one of my gold mine areas for investing then, and I just saw a massive gap in the market because there were so many HMOs done badly. I was like, nobody is doing luxury HMOs, and that's where my brainwave came from, if you like. HMOs are growing in popularity. Go back 7 years. 7 years ago, it became more socially acceptable for people to rent. In the last couple of years, it's become more socially acceptable for people to rent rooms, and professionals, key workers, renting luxury rooms where they can literally just move in. It's a cross between a service apartment and a hotel. Digital televisions, Cat 6 desks, really good furniture, and a nice group of people. And from sort of August, September onwards, you're going to get a lot of people that individuals, single people, people that are just coming out of couples relationships, people who just can't afford to get a mortgage, and they don't want to waste money on rent. They're going to be looking at luxury HMOs, luxury rooms where they can save £600 or £700 a month and still enjoy really good quality accommodation. So they're definitely growing in popularity, and they are here to stay. 12 years, we've done over 400 HMOs for ourselves, for investors that we've worked with, and we're still working with. They're Section 24 proof. You know, Section 24 really smashed the hell out of the buy-to-let market, and the buy-to-let market is literally hanging on with a thread, as I'm sure a lot of you will know that. The great thing about HMOs is you should always be on a fully occupied HMO. You should always be netting between £800 and £1,200 profit a month. On a buy-to-let, you're probably looking at around about £200 or £300 on average. Yields, gross yields of between sort of 10 and 15%, depending on area and other income streams. Recession proof, yeah, well, we're going to find out, aren't we? But I do think HMOs are recession proof. You can always adapt, you can always bring prices down if you need to. You can always put prices back up when the market improves if you need to. But if you're smart and you're working with a good agent, you will always eventually fill those rooms and work out how to. COVID proof, are they? As I say, I think they will be. I think we had a little bubble right after lockdown, as you'd expect. I think we're having a little change in period now, and I think by sort of the end of July, we're going to see a massive boom for rooms, certainly from key workers and certainly from professionals, which I'll refer to more this evening because that's my specialty, my demographic. Although Mark and Jackie do a lot with students accommodation, I do a little bit, but not as much. In my opinion, the student accommodation is going to be a changing HMO strategy due to the amount of purpose-built accommodation being built for them. But it still works, but in a certain way. And do it properly, you will earn more money. It's without a shadow of a doubt. You can buy exactly the same property as you would a buy-to-let. Okay, the refurb might be slightly more, but not a huge amount more, and you will earn 40, 50, 60% more income, up to 4 times the amount of a buy-to-let. If you look at £250 to 300 against 800 to £1,200 profit a month. So my strategies, professionals, on our biggest property type, we have 3 different property types: a 5, a 6, and a large 6. On the large 6-bed HMOs, we earn up to £1,500 cash flow just on one property. And we try and buy below market value. We try to add value with the refurb, and then we look at areas which in the next 5 to 10 years are going to almost be guaranteed appreciation. How can you tell that? Obviously through people, through predictions, through regeneration. There's so many different ways that we can teach you on how to predict whether you're going to get capital appreciations, a good amount of capital appreciation between 5 and 10 years. And we look for a combination. You can go up north and get yield. You can go to London and you can get return on capital. But we look for a combination of return on your investment, the yield, the return on capital employed, okay, the income, and how much capital we can add. A lot of people do get fixated on yield, for example, but personally for me, I want £1,000 a month profit, from each HMO, and a lot of my investors are now looking at it more that way. If you're wondering what return on investment is, yield, or how do you work that out, please start listing your questions as we go through. What is return on investment? How do you work out the yield? And then we will make sure, I promise you, we go through everybody's questions at the end, because I know how important it is. Okay, you make your money when you buy every single time. If you buy a bad investment that's never going to have more than 2 rooms rented out because of the area, it's never going to appreciate in capital, then you could struggle. But providing you buy the right property in the right area, you make your money when you buy it. Just start listing your questions if you can. Good. The demand for rooms before COVID was never higher, and it is going to get better and better. Trust me, between August and October, the demand for rooms is going to be the highest I think we've seen in a long, long time. So let's talk about a bit about the format and the strategies. Different parts of the country can work, some better than others. I know people that are buying in Liverpool, Reading, Milton Keynes, London. The great thing about HMOs is, there's always going to be somewhere within an hour to 2 hours of you that work really well. And my advice is, if you're going to manage them yourself, you need to be close. If you're going to use a sourcer or you're going to use a portfolio building company, then make sure that you've got a really good, strong relationship over time and you trust them. But always take your time. Buying property in the key areas, I'm going to say this a lot tonight, is really, really important. HMOs can work really well with rent to rent. Rent to rent has changed a lot over the years. Predominantly, it's for people that haven't got the money to invest in HMOs by buying them, or they just want to increase their cash flow, which, I'm always looking for good rent to rents, and done properly, it's a good strategy. But a lot of people done it badly. A lot of people made money from training, and it did get a bad name. But I think it will be coming back with what's going to happen in the market over the next few months. And if you haven't got a huge amount of money to invest, rent to rent's a great strategy. We've got a mentorship for rent to rent with Justin Whitmore, who's one of the biggest, probably the biggest rent to rent landlord and specialist in the country, and he's fantastic. You can use other people's money. You can always do a joint venture. It's something we teach a lot of the mentees. You can do joint ventures. Okay, you can do option agreements. You can do lease option rent to rent, which are quite clever. There's loads of different ways you can do it. And obviously, there's lots of different tenant types. And that's a really important decision, whether you look for professionals, key workers, students, perhaps a niche market of nurses or doctors. But there's lots of different types of tenants. Just making sure there's questions are coming. Are questions still coming, Mark? I think they are. Good.
Questions are coming in, mate. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Okay, so how to start building your HMO empire. The first and most important thing is educate yourself. So well done, you're here. I'm sure you've been on other webinars, and I'm sure some of you have been mentored and done training courses, and that's what it's all about. Invest in yourself, and that will always look after you. Create an outstanding power team. I alluded to this earlier. Nothing's more important, nothing, than building an outstanding power team that you can trust, you can rely on, because it ain't always pretty. Things are going to go wrong. The market's going to change. The economy's going to change. And you need to be able to pick up the phone. You need to be able to have honest conversations with people you trust and people you can rely on. No legislation. Legislation changed October 2 years ago. And it was a massive change in the industry that I welcomed, because it meant there was a level playing field. Everyone started to have to raise their game. To give you an example, there was at the time 900 registered HMOs in Reading, one of my areas, and there was actually about 5,000 HMOs. So about 80% of HMOs weren't licensed. So it's meant people had to up their standards or sell. It means that the minimum room size at 6.5 square meters, although that does change from council to council, but it's never smaller than that. But landlords have had to up their game. Trust the people you work with, really important. Work with well-established companies. Get experts to do some of it for you. Do not try and do it all yourself. You may want to manage it. You may want to get your hands dirty and do the refurb yourself. Okay, you might just want to find the tenants yourself. You might want to source it yourself, but do what you're good at and let other people do what you're not good at, so you maximize the opportunities all the time. Know your area. It's really important. You can't just go into an area and invest. You need to spend a long time trying to understand that area, understand the numbers, getting to know the agents, other investors, what's happened over the past decade, what's going to happen over the next decade. It's very, very important. I'm extremely lucky. I've had the pleasure of working across Berkshire, Hampshire and Surrey for 22 years. And they are my areas which I enjoy investing and working in. So yeah, I alluded to this a moment ago. There's no cutting corners. Legislation changed in October 2 years ago. Minimum room sizes came in. Licensing become mandatory. The standards were upped. Every council's different. You've always got to check that and befriend your council. I'm saying it again and again and again. There's no shortcuts. I think I spent probably about 2 days trying to locate, email, speak to the local council, and then I think my PA spent about 3 weeks. But eventually we got there, and now we've got a really good relationship with them. They like the way that we convert properties into HMOs, making sure that we keep the basics of the house so it can be converted back to a family home quickly. They love that. They love working with us, so it's really good to get them on side. Our personal focus, because it's really good to have your niche. You can't cut corners. It's got to be high standard, but ours is the highest possible standard. Ours are hotel room standard. And if investors aren't looking to do luxury HMOs, then we don't work with them. And if we do HMOs or rent to rent, it's always luxury. Because I think whatever happens in the property market, there is always a demand for good quality rooms. Perfect example in Reading, there's over 1,500 rooms to let. Okay, so there's obviously not many tenants. I think there was about 92 tenants looking last week. So obviously they're not going to rent, but the good quality ones, the ones that are above and beyond everything else, they still do rent out. And we attract the best possible clients, best possible tenants. Martin Littleboy, one of our previous mentees, he's had tenants in the property for over 16 months. Over 16 months. He was in a fortunate position though. He's had those tenants in, they like the property. The trouble is if you started filling properties a month or two before COVID, then you're going to have people coming and going, and you're going to have to wait till sort of August, September before that neutralizes. But if you attract the best possible tenants, they look after the house, they look after each other, less costs on refurb, less costs on everything. Okay, and I'll give you a massive tip now on how we manage our tenants and we keep harmonious households. It's in WhatsApp groups. All our households are managed in WhatsApp groups. The managing agent, the investor if he wants to be, all the tenants, so we can liaise, speak to them easily, quickly on a daily basis. If they've got an issue, they can talk to us. If they've got an issue with each other, they can talk to each other and us. We've got an issue, vice versa. And it just nips little problems in the bud. My old company, we managed over 2,000 properties. And the biggest problem was when tenants could not speak to a property manager. And 24 hours would go by and a really small complaint issue would become something huge. So it really is a game changer, by the way. That way, so if you take anything from tonight, please managing your tenants and households on WhatsApp group. And yeah, you can get massive fines. I'm not going to tell you who, but there was someone in Reading, I knew, a HMO landlord who we'd warned, to be fair, before the licensing that they weren't up to standard. They disagreed, and then they went on a 3-month cruise. But it wasn't a cruise. I believe it was a jail cell. So you really have got to be careful. You can get huge fines. So how do you create your niche? Well, you're obviously going to look at the area, which we'll talk a bit more about later. And then you've got to think what niche suits. Okay, mine is professionals. Okay, a lot of people work with key workers. We had a HMO in Reading, and there are a lot of rooms in Reading, over 1,500. And still over the COVID lockdown period, we managed to rent 5 out of 6 rooms to nurses by Reading Hospital, which was really good. I think we've done a 50% discount for nurses, which went down really well as well. Students, our council, I think there's a massive gap in the market for HMOs for council tenants, because you speak to your local council and they will say, yes, we have tenants. Okay, they will pay part of the rent as well, and not many people are doing it. So those entrepreneurs out there, I think there's a gap in the market for council tenants for HMOs for sure. And you can decide on a defined group Mark, any defined groups spring to mind? I know a lot of our mentees have done all sorts, haven't they, over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few now. I mean, one of the biggest growing areas really is the over 45 male, primarily divorcee. So it's literally, you know, often what happens when a couple split up, it's often the male of the relationship that ends up moving out of the family home. But it's a fast growing area now, the above 45 male.
So that sounds like you speak with experience, Mark.
No comment.
Okay, so let's look at the area. Let's look at the type of house. The type of house and the area has obviously got to suit the tenant and the tenant's needs. 1960s houses, like we work with in Camberley, a lot of Camberley and other areas in Berkshire, they tend to have much bigger rooms, and I'll show you an example later. And lots of wasted space from when the properties were put together, where you can add value to the house, and you can add shower rooms and other useful amenities. 1930s properties, less complications. On average, most 1960s properties, probably about 50% on average, will have some relevant covenant tied to that property. So when you're looking at HMOs, it's not as easy as just choosing the property, choosing the area. Got to think about Article 4, which we'll come on to. Got to think about covenants, and you can do that again by downloading the title deeds, the full title deeds, and it will have details of covenants. And I've come across probably about 12, 13 different covenants over the years. And it's very complicated because probably 50% of them you can't use the property for a HMO, so you need a good solicitor. And while I'm trying to give you as much content as I can cram in this time tonight, I mean, I've been in property 22 years, specialised in HMOs for 12 years, and I'm still learning every day. So there's so much to teach you. Detached houses, more space. We just bought one in Wylam, one of my Berkshire areas, and they've got a big, detached properties have got big front gardens in my areas. So I love that because I turn it into attractive parking. And on this one specifically, we can have 6 parking spaces at the front of the house. It looks okay. Neighbours don't mind because cars aren't all over the streets, and it's nice and tidy. So I love detached houses. That's our biggest property model. It works really well. Some terrace houses work really well, 1960s terrace houses especially, and 5 or 6 bedrooms you really need for a good 6-bedroom rent to rent. And 7 bedrooms and beyond, or 7 people and beyond, you have to apply for full planning permission for the HMO. So just to clarify that, a 4-bed HMO, you don't need planning and you do not need a license, but obviously you're not going to make much money. A 5 and a 6-bedroom HMO with 5 or 6 people living in that HMO, then you need a license. If you have 7 people in a 6-bed HMO, or you have 7 bedrooms, then you need a license. But before you need a license, you need full planning permission. And with full planning permission, on average, the cost of a refurb will go up by about 25%. Okay, so make sure you use a builder who knows what they're doing. Get in contact with us if you need to discuss the differences, but be very careful. Okay, so just to run through then the different examples of how you can do the HMO. Obviously not owning, rent to rent, okay, joint venture. I know a lot of people that we've got a couple of mentees, funnily enough, but they haven't got the money. So they're doing joint ventures with investors where they put in the time, the knowledge, the expertise. They negotiate below market value, they manage the HMO, and that's their contribution. Then an investor will put the money in, an angel investor if you like, and then they do a 50-50 joint venture, which can work really, really well. Okay, different locations, obviously, working with the council again, and working with sourcing companies, or a portfolio building company. I have a portfolio building company, and I usually just work with friends or high net worth people that want a portfolio built for them over a period of time, and they want to sit back and enjoy that ride. Okay, so The build. Who's going to do the refurb? It's really important. Before you're out viewing properties, you want to get a good relationship with local builders, probably one of the most important parts of your power team, okay? And then make sure they understand the different room sizes, okay? Smoke alarms, okay? When you need different types of smoke alarms, different legal requirements, how they can add space. That might be something you're very good at. So you sort of co-project manage with them. And I always spot where you can add value and spot where you can add space. Are they going to do the furniture? Are they going to work with you on the furniture? The furniture pack's probably one of the hardest parts of the project. I can assure you of this. A furniture pack to put in a 6-bed HMO takes us 2.5 weeks. Okay, from putting the inventory together to installing it all, making it all look beautiful, it can take 2 to 3 weeks, especially when it's difficult to get everything that you want. We're very clever with the way that we do our HMOs, different to anybody else. We do a cross between a HMO and a service department, which I'm sure I can tell you about another time. The individual council requirements, internet is the most important thing. It's the most common, probably the most common actually complaint we get if the internet goes down. So we always put Cat 6 in as well as good Wi-Fi. And that way, if I need a stronger connection, in they go. And what's probably going to be more popular post-COVID, we've certainly seen 2 changes post-COVID that we could never have anticipated. That is that you really need in a 6-bedroom HMO, you only require 2 bathrooms, but you probably need to be putting 3 bathrooms or shower rooms in a 6-bed HMO now, because 2 people don't mind sharing a bathroom, but 3 people, it's not ideal. And bigger gardens, people want more outside space now. So they are probably, from polls we've done and speaking to tenants, the 2 biggest changes in the HMO market that you need to take into consideration post-COVID. Okay, choosing your area. Again, some of these might sound simple, but people always forget them. And it depends on your tenant. Obviously, if you're going to be working with students and you're not near a university, then it's crazy. So that speaks for itself. But with professionals, I'm looking at transport links, bus links into the town centre, train links into London and other areas, local amenities, obviously really important, universities and colleges. Employment, look at employment. Is employment high? Is it decreasing? Is it increasing? Look at the blue chip companies, really important, and what blue chip companies are around the area. I love working with professional tenants, so we're always looking to be near the town centre or near business parks. Hospitals and healthcare, social attractions, really important. Local demographics in general. There's loads of websites. If you Google local demographics, you've got mouseprice.com and so many others. The crime rate. Mark, what's the best website for the crime rate? You always do this.
It's just police.uk. Type in your postcode. I think you're quite surprised by the amount of crime in your area.
Average rental values, average room values. Look on Spare Room, look on Rightmove, but go and speak to the agents. If there's 6 agents in the area, speak to every single one of them and then get a mean average of what they're saying so you've got a good picture. But you really need to speak to all of them. If there's any local networking events, go to your local networking events. Speak to investors that already have success in that area. Befriend them and get their input. Really important. And then beware of Article 4 areas. Article 4 is not a demon, like covenants are not demons. You just need to know what you're dealing with. If you've got time on your hands and you want to try something different, then you can tackle Article 4 areas. You can show the local council that you're going to do it properly, that you're going to apply for planning on each one, and you can do it to a really high standard that fits in with that area, and you can get over Article 4. If you want to be a bit quicker than that and you haven't got that patience and you don't want to go through that process, then you probably want to avoid Article 4 areas. That's really important. Article 4 was mainly bought in big cities with universities because you were getting landlords that weren't licensed in the HMOs anyway. They certainly weren't applying for planning permission, and they were just putting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bedroom HMOs up anywhere. and it just didn't work. If you've got a street, I remember one in Reading called Morgan Road, where you've got 650 to 950 to £1 million houses, with families with 2 small children in, and then you've got a random HMO with 10 students in. Students aren't doing anything wrong, but they're living like students. They'll be partying until late. You get noise pollution, rubbish pollution. So Article 4 was brought in not to stop that, but to manage that. So students all lived in a similar area and it didn't affect housing. So if you wanted to know why Article 4 exists, that is one of the main reasons. And Article 4 can mean other things in other areas as well. For example, Article 4 in some areas in Berkshire means that you cannot split titles. So it doesn't always refer to HMOs, but quite often it does. So choosing the right property, okay? Is there a demand? Okay, are you going to get a profit? Are you going to be able to add value? Okay, I'll show you some examples of how we added value to a property, but that's really important. Does it give you what you want? Do you want yield? Do you want income? Do you want return on capital, return on investment? Okay, you need to decide what you want and then move forward, because everyone wants something different. Okay, some people want the yield at 12, 13%. Some people don't mind an 8% yield if it's going to give them £1,000 income a month. So when you understand what you're doing, then you can make that decision. Is it going to give you long-term appreciation? For me, because I look at building a portfolio over a period of time. If you look at property prices, it was on the news yesterday, I'm sure most of you saw it, but if you go back 20 years, properties doubled in value almost twice in most areas, 3 times in some areas. If you go back 50 years, property prices have doubled on average every 10 years. So if you are going to build a big portfolio long term, surely it makes sense to do it somewhere, if you can afford to, where you can appreciate that long term capital on top. So just to touch a little bit more on Article 4 on covenants, okay? So the Article 4 normally adapted in university towns, stop the spread of pockets of HMO in towns, prevent noise, antisocial behaviour, parking problems, and build a balanced community. Balanced community for tenants, students, and a balanced community for families, okay? Licensing and planning are very different. Sometimes one is required, sometimes both. If you remember a moment ago, I alluded to 7 or more people or 7 rooms or more, you need planning as well as a license, okay? Covenants back in the day were my real thorn in the arse, to be honest with you, because they just so many different covenants that you've got to understand. And if you're not looking at the title deeds, you're not going to find out usually until close to the end of the transaction. That can cost you thousands of pounds and a lot of time, which can be very, very frustrating. And it sometimes means you have to start all over again. So we've adapted ways where we can find this out right at the beginning. So let's give you some case studies, some deal examples. This is one of our mentees that we sourced, converted it the way we've been teaching this evening. Purchase price was 286. Refurb budget was just under 40 grand. Property value was £350,000 valued afterwards. So forced equity of 64 grand in a good market. It was a good market, but immediate value of 64 grand. Okay, the annual income on that is just over £37,000, and the cash flow, net cash flow, was £1,600 per calendar month. Okay, doesn't always work out that well, but with this one it did. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Purchase price 282. 282 for a 6-bed HMO. That's nuts, isn't it? We paid probably around 400 now, 350 to 400. Refurb budget just over 40 grand. Property value 360. £78,000 immediate equity. And that's what I'm talking about. If you can invest in areas where even, forget COVID, forget the next year, think 4 years ahead and then think where it's going to be. And it just takes the pressure off, and it gives you've almost guaranteed you're going to get that equity at some point. You can see there, 38 grand annual income, just over £1,600 cash flow a month. Okay, 18% return on investment, 28% return on capital. I think my biggest, I've got an eye for property investment, and I think, you know, Mark and Jackie are the same. And my very first mentor taught me this. And just look for every single possibility to squeeze money out of that opportunity, to squeeze money out of that property. Okay, so stand out from the competition, add value at every possible moment. A front garden, okay, turned into a driveway, can add up to £15,000 value on a property, on a big property. It really can. Okay, old airing cupboards, where now you have the tanks or you have boilers, you can turn them into great bath or shower rooms, depending on the size of them. Okay, having pointless dining rooms where you can make it more open plan, always where you can add value and you can maximize the opportunity in front of you. Okay, and always look to make the money now by the forced capital, the improvements, and the future with the area and capital appreciation. And for me, as I keep saying, the future is all high quality. Rent to rent, HMOs, student HMOs, professional HMOs, key workers HMOs. Be the best. Be the best landlord in your area. Have the best rooms in your area. And if you have the best rooms today, and then someone comes along and improves their rooms tomorrow, then when you get the opportunity, improve them again. And if you keep evolving with the market and producing quality, you will always get tenants. Always. Choose your area carefully. I know you've all probably heard this 100 times. I'm sorry for saying it again. My first ever mentor always drummed it into me. You make your money when you buy, not when you sell. If you buy in the right area, if you buy with 2 or 3 options with each property, okay, you will always make money. Take your time, okay? Property is a get rich over time period, not a get rich quick scheme, okay? It's really, really important. I can't emphasize that as much. Take your time. If someone's rushing you to make a decision, then ask yourself why. If something's too good to be true, usually is. Okay, choose your customer carefully. I love dealing with professional tenants. Love it. I think that they're just, because they're quite like me, I guess. Mark and Jackie love dealing with students. Jackie was like their mum. She was so mumsy, and they loved her. So choose your customer carefully. Okay, so just some pictures here. Just looking where we maximise the opportunity. You can just see there, that's an airing cupboard we turned into a double shower, add to the bathroom, which adds value to the house. It makes it a better HMO as well. You can see this is one of my dear friend's rooms. It's one of my favourite rooms we've ever done, and it's got a small conservatory on the end there with a beanbag and a sofa, which is a bit of a reading room. It's got a digital television on. It's got a desk, chair, and it's beautiful. And, you know, in a good market, in a good letting market, that room would rent for £650 to £700 without a shadow of a doubt, in a good market. So you, again, just maximising the opportunity within that room. Okay, and again, you can just see the standard. I mean, on the right there, that was just an outside cupboard. An outside cupboard that we decorated, we put a flooring on, and we put the dryer out there. And we put an awning on top of the dryer, so tenants could actually go outside any weather and do their laundry. And they quite liked it because it just kept the condensation from out the house, the noise from out the house, and again, just good use of space, and maximising the potential and opportunity there. Okay, so do it right. You will always fill your HMOs. Okay, make sure they're the best. If they're not, change, adapt. Be honest with yourself. Look at the competition. Who is the best? How do you improve yours? Because what was the best today will be average tomorrow. Okay, if you do that properly in a good market, you'll have less than 5% void periods. Okay, you can have profit of up to 18 grand on one property. Okay, add 10% immediate value in a good market, without a shadow of a doubt. Invest in areas that could double over the next 10 years. Have amazing clients, tenants, with less maintenance. That's why I love dealing with professionals. Have a happy household and incredible investments. Happy household, a lot of that comes from WhatsApp, trust me. Okay, so this is one of my favourite case studies. It's for a client of mine, Richard Keeley. He's one of my favourite clients. I've worked with him for a long time. One of the most demanding clients I have, but he's a great guy and he's a great investor and he expects everything to be pristine. So this was the house we bought. You can see there, you know, it's an okay house, small driveway. You see there those lovely net curtains. I think we kept those. And it just looks a bit sort of dated, doesn't it? And a bit average. Okay, there you can see the living room, and look at that. That's a 4-bed detached house. Look at that kitchen. Disgusting. I don't understand why such small kitchens went into a 4-bed detached house. Here's the floor plan. Okay, so looking at this floor plan, I want to try and explain what we did to the house. Okay, you see that family room. Okay, we blocked that door up, which went to the utility room, and that became a big double bedroom. That living room became a big double bedroom. We put in a hallway, which went through to the kitchen. The kitchen, dining room, conservatory all became one great big open space, which I'll show you a picture of in a minute. That utility room was huge. Again, wasted space. It became a small utility room with a dryer. And then we put a shower room in there as well. And then you can see upstairs, you have that huge ensuite master bedroom. Bedroom 4 was a little bit too small, so we had to put wardrobes in on the sister bedroom, which made it big enough and worked really well. And that became a really good size 6-bed, 3-bathroom HMO. So let's have a look after. So you can see there, okay, we added the driveway. So the garden went, we put the driveway in, and then we had parking for at least 5 cars, and then you had 1 car parking around the corner. That pokey little kitchen and dining room, look at that. Beautiful kitchen, breakfast bar, a cool, trendy art wall, which we love. Loads of storage space, and then fridge, freezer, space for all the tenants, which are labelled. And we love doing, one of my favourite parts of finishing our HMOs, we do themes. So we do race horses, we do race courses, we do positivity, we do animals, we do cities, we do stations, and we theme each room and each property. And it's really cool. We just done one for one of our clients who's Scottish. So the theme of the property was Scotland, and each room represented part of Scotland, and the colours and canvases were all related, which is really cool. It's a massive game changer, I'll be honest with you. Really big game changer. There you go, some more pictures. You can see that lovely conservatory now, which opens up, nice grey floor. Pictures are a bit stretched, but it was brilliant. And this was our record. We rented 6 rooms in 5 days. 6 rooms in 5 days. We came close to doing that with one in Bracknell a couple of weeks ago, but one tenant pulled out, unfortunately, but we still done well. But all of these rooms rented within 5 days. And you can see the quality of the room. Across the whole house, we have house rules, and we get the tenants working with our house rules, which works really well. And every time a new tenant moves in, fresh bedding goes on. Okay, it's up to them whether they keep it. If they don't want it, we'll take it back, but it makes it look nicer. There's a box of chocolates and a bottle of Sancerre or Malbec waiting for them. Okay, are you ready for these numbers? Now you're going to understand why this is one of my favourites. So the property went to auction with Romans, a local estate agent, and it was on the reserve at 400, and they were trying to achieve about 450. Sorry, reserve was 425. They were trying to achieve 450. It never sold. I've got an online estate agency called Sell for Free Today. She contacted Sell for Free Today. We went out to see her. Basically, we sell houses without charging a fee to the seller. And I offered 340,000, which she politely said, "Thank you, Peter," but no. We left it at that, and about I think it was the 2nd week in December, she came back and said, "Look, Peter, would you take 380? Would you give us 380? I'll take it." And I said, "Look, leave it with me. I appreciate you coming back to me. If we can get a deal done here that can work for you and can work for us, and we will." And then eventually we negotiated, and we got to a sum of 369, which I was delighted with. Okay, the refurb and HMO kit was 47 grand. And then we had that revalued by 2 independent estate agents between 525 and 535. Okay, that's forced capital of 156 grand. Now, that was about a year ago. It was in a better market and the market was picking up, but still 156 grand at forced capital. And if you can find these houses and they're out there, then you can all do these sorts of numbers for sure. Income over £40,000 a year on one property. Okay, that's almost £20,000 net profit on one HMO. And if you do these big ones, you get the bigger numbers. Okay, so net profit, you can see, wow, look at that. Okay, 11% yield. Now, some people, it cracks me up, would say 11% yield. Oh, do you know what? I really want 14. Okay, it's not always about just the yield. You've got to look at the net profit. Okay, that's £1,700 net profit a month. Everyone, all the attendees tonight, everyone listening, put your hand up if you would take £1,700 net profit. I can see you all putting your hand up. Good. 24% return on capital. So who would do that deal? Who wouldn't do that deal? One of my favourites, but yeah, Richard was happy. Okay, so sorry. Then Mark, you wanted to do your case study of your student HMO?
Yeah, okay, I'll do that one then. So this is one of our mentees, HMOs in Coventry now. Coventry is an area which is quite saturated with HMOs, and particularly student HMOs. You know, when our mentee was looking at the market, we did err on the side of caution here, but said, look, you know, if you want to crack the market, you've got to be different. It's exactly what Peter has been saying all evening. You need to stand out from the crowd. So some basic figures on this one. Purchase price 110,000. So I don't know whether many of you are in the Midlands or north of the country. Obviously, it's going to be those kind of prices compared to some of the prices that Peter was talking about in Berkshire and Surrey. Refurbishment quite low. Refurbishment on a student property is never really going to be as high as professionals anyway. But this was only a 4-bed, and you know, an 80% mortgage was taken out on it, so just a 20% deposit of £22,000. Now the JV finance paid for the refurb and the deposit. So you know, a lot of people wonder, well, how on earth can I get started? Because if I haven't got a great deal of money, someone else can help you. And in this instance, it was the mentee's aunt. So we always suggest talking to family first. It was his aunt that lent him the money for the deposit and for the refurb. And he put an additional toilet on the first floor. So even though it's only 4 beds for a student HMO, that's really more than the average, let me tell you. And rented to 4 students. So this was the before photos, and this is kind of what an average student HMO will look like. And if any of you are familiar with that, you'll recognise what I'm saying. They look okay, and you immediately recognise it as a student HMO, because for some reason landlords seem to think that students don't deserve a good-looking or comfortable HMO. I'm sure it's comfortable as it is, but it doesn't look very appealing. Whereas if you look at the after photos, it's a totally different picture. Now, this is just using IKEA, so it's not expensive, and I wouldn't want to waste good quality furniture in a student house. And you know, after what I've just said, it needs to look good, but you've got to realise that it's going to need replacing probably more frequently than in a professional house, just the nature of the way student houses work. So this is just IKEA, but look at the design behind it as well. So it's a bit of design flair, and just using some good colour combinations make it look like that kind of wow factor for students. And you've got to bear in mind, if you're looking at the student market, that these are kids just out of home, and they're dying to get out of home. First bit of freedom, a few pals in the same house. They don't really care what the house looks like, but mum and dad do. And it's mum and dad you're looking to try and impress, as well as the students. And as soon as the mum and dad walks into something like this compared to the previous slide, which one do you think they're going to be interested in, and which one do you think they're going to want to be comfortable guaranteeing the rent for? Because obviously the parents, as far as a student HMO is concerned, it's the parents that will guarantee the rent. So just looking at the numbers, the mortgage on this one was just £330 per month. The MOE is a figure we put in for monthly operating expenses. In this case, just £80. The JV finance fees paid aren't 8% per annum. You can see the rent there and cash flow of £556 per calendar month with no of his own money in the deal. So it's a no money down deal from that perspective. Which, let's face it, £556, but not having put in any of your own money at all, has got to be a really, really good deal. That's just an example of one student property. There are many, many others, but we're not going to go into that this evening. So, would you like to know how we can help you do the same? Because all of these things that we've shown you so far this evening, and we've kind of gone through relatively quickly, but there is an awful lot more to learn. And you can either try and do it on your own, struggle, trying to find the right way. In this example, clearly you need some round wheels to make the bike work. But we often see a lot of people just trying to struggle to find and do things on the cheap. Oh, I can find all these things on YouTube. Well, I tell you what, you can't. That's the thing. I see it's a lot of things online where people say, oh, yeah, well, you can read it all in books. No, you can't. I can tell you for a fact you can't. You cannot beat experience, full stop. So would you rather be that? Or would you rather be in the fast lane? Lying on the end of a bike as it is there, but in the fast lane. All right. You can choose to be either. If you want to go into the fast lane and learn from experienced people like myself, Peter, Jackie, that have got nearly 80 years experience in business and property, and that's what I'm going to share with you now. But before I do, so I mentioned about a few bonuses. So some of the webinar bonuses, what we're going to give you, for those of you that follow through, and I'll talk about that in a second, you get a moving in checklist. So you can use that list to quickly make sure your property is ready to start renting out. There's a communal rules agreement. So it gives your tenants to agree to communal rules for the smooth running of the house. There's a house manual. So that's something that you'll give your tenants, which saves you a lot of time in trying to explain things. There's a booklet they'll have in their room. And there's a Facebook support group. Now I tried to put a value on that of I put £1,200, but it means you get the support and help you need to see directly from our sales PMA in that private Facebook group. Quite frankly, I think £1,200 is so cheap; it's worth 10 times that. But I had to put some kind of value on it. We'll also throw in the HMO masterclass video. Now, this was a recording we did just over 6 months ago, which Peter and the whole of the HMO team that you heard about tonight and more. But we put a value on that of just £99. Learn how to find, finance, set up, and run your HMOs, saving you hours of time. We'll also throw in the Property Strategy Masterclass, which is an overview of how to make money using 12 strategies that work in today's market, so not just HMOs. You'll also get access to the PMA resource vault. And I, again, couldn't really put a value on this. It gives you access to all the documents, resources, everything that myself, Peter, and Jackie use on a day-to-day basis, you'll have access to.
For me, for me, the value on that is endless. I mean, it's ASTs, it's agreements for rent to rent, it's agreements for joint ventures, it's letters to landlords, letters to tenants, it's the furniture packs, the furniture inventories. It's an endless amount of information for you guys just to tap into whenever you need to. It's invaluable, really. Absolutely.
So, the webinar bonuses, all the ones I've just mentioned there, 6 months mentorship value, mentorship with us and the PMA team, over £10,000 worth of value for that. The total value of everything that we're going to give away tonight, or almost give away, £16,747. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is this. If all the course helped you do was get one HMO up and running, earning you up to £18,000 net per year, would it be worth it? Type in the box, would it be worth it if you could get an extra £18,000 per year from just one property? Yes or no? Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. So if it took the pressure off you financially every month, would it be worth it? What is it worth to learn how to do that? You know, you heard we've only spent an hour and a bit this evening just running through a topic that you'll see from the masterclass on the video is over 6 hours of recorded content. It's a full day, and that only touches the surface, because you can only touch the surface to help people get started. Once you get started, you'll start to learn. But what if it gave you the time and money to do what you like to do? Would it be worth it? You see, the thing is, property can make you rich. Can it make everybody rich? Of course not. You've got to put some work in. This is not a free ride. But for those who want to put the work in, it will certainly give you the time and money to do what you want to do. But don't take our word for it. Let's look at a few people that we've worked with. This is Roger. Now, Roger, you're on the call tonight, so it's quite interesting. Having completed the PMA mentoring program this year, it's been invaluable to my property investing journey, and one I would fully recommend to others. Such a knowledgeable team in all aspects, and always available when advice required. Without doubt, one of the best investments I've made. Jonathan. All successful business owners have mentors. Mark, Jackie, and Peter have a wealth of experience between them, not only in the property market, but from also having built up and sold businesses in the past. This is the primary reason I wanted to work with PMA, to help me not only be accountable, but also guide me in how to build a business around property. Martin Littleboy, Peter mentioned a little bit earlier, just finished the mentorship program. I want to say a big thank you to all my mentors, Jackie, Peter, and Mark. Their help and experience has already allowed me to start joint ventures with others with development and buying HMOs, so it really does work. I truly can say I couldn't have done it without this mentorship program. Martin is now working on developments where he will net round about £500,000 in the next 12 months. George, also on the call tonight. Thanks, George. Can't recommend Mark and the Property Master Academy enough. The property sector is full of false pretenses, with every other person looking to sell you a course in exchange for hope and a dream. However, Mark, Jackie, and Peter are noble in their approach and full of knowledge and wisdom. You're an absolute force with the three of them behind you. So let me tell you about the PMA Property Mentor Elite online and personal program. First of all, it's a 6 months mentorship, which includes, well, first of all, it starts straight away. So when you sign up tonight, it'll start straight away. And it's a brand new support program with direct access to the three of us and the full PMA team and network. So it's all of our power team, our solicitors, accountants, architects, whatever is needed, you have access to. It's our first and probably our only online mastermind type program with immediate support and mentoring. You get weekly live face-to-face conferences every Tuesday evening, minimum of 2 hours, with weekly Q&A. You get daily access via our private accountability group. On top of the PMA Vault that I mentioned earlier, which gives you access to some pre-recorded material, all of the resources that we mentioned earlier as well, and support and guidance on every single strategy. Now, tonight we've just talked a little bit about HMOs, and there's an awful lot more to learn. But whatever the strategy is that you want to do, we can help you. We can guide you, support you, give all the information you need to help you take that step, that next step to progressing in your property journey. If you're just starting out, with all the facilities there to help you succeed. And you get a free property webinar such as this every 2 weeks, and there are others too. So we've got the moving in checklist, the communal rules, the house manual, the Facebook support group, the HMO masterclass video, the property strategy masterclass, the PMA Resource Vault, the 6 months mentorship with us and the PMA team. Total value £16,747, and wow, all that for just £495 plus VAT per month. That's the link you can see on the screen there. But wait, there's just one other thing. You can have your business and life partner can join for free. There's no other mentorship where that happens. So repeat that, it's £495 plus VAT per month. There's no big upfront fee. You pay monthly over the 6 months and your business or life partner can join for free. That's an amazing deal, guys. I don't know what anything you want to add, Peter?
I didn't know we were doing the business life partner. we may as well give it to them. But no, just to concur with everything Mark said. I mean, we do this because we're passionate. Our usual mentorship is around £30,000 over a year. 12-month mentorship, £30,000. This is $495 a month, which we were only really doing because of COVID and because we have more time, and because we want to give a bit back. But it's fun, it's knowledgeable, it's everything you need to succeed in property, kickstart you in property, excel you in property, start you from the beginning in property, with 3 incredible mentors that care extremely different. Mark is probably the best teacher I've ever worked with. Jackie is probably the best coach I've ever worked with, for sure. She's amazing. And I'm probably the person that motivates you, makes you take action, gives you an uplift when you need it, and has just an overall knowledge of property, combining with Mark and Jackie, that means we can make anyone succeed. Anybody can succeed. Any of you can be as successful or more successful than any of us and any of our previous mentors. You've just got to have the right mindset. So I think this is the last time we're ever going to do it. It's only $495. It's a sort of no-brainer with all the freebies as well. So yeah, I think we would love to get, I think the first 4 or 5. Are we doing the business life partner for the first 4 or 5, Mark, or just in general tonight? Are we feeling over generous?
I think just in general, I think tonight.
Okay, Mark, you're in a very good mood. Well, look, you can see the link there. You can see the link there. Start to sign up. How many places have we got left on this one, Mark?
6.
So first 6 people, and then you can go into a waiting list if we do another one. Excellent, well done, Julia. Julia's the first in. And I need to go back and start answering some of these questions. I promised you I would go through every single question, and I promise you we are going to. So, Anne-Marie, I recognise you, maybe from LinkedIn. How are you, Anne-Marie? Have you signed up yet? Looking forward to hopefully working with you. What would happen at the end of a 6 months in terms of mentoring or access? Okay, yeah, really good question. So at the end of the 6 months, I mean, most people, I would say Roger is one of my favourite people in property. Roger made a comment. He's on here this evening. He's a dear friend of mine, and we always share a couple of bottles of Malbec when we meet up. And we're always in contact. And if he needs something, he knows where we are. So there's always going to be contact. Most of our mentees become friends and family and part of our property network forever. And if you need anything, we will always be there. You might want to renew it, which is fine. So yeah, once you're in, Anne-Marie, you're in. So just make sure you book your place tonight. We're only doing this offer tonight. So you've got sort of 10, 15 minutes to type that link in and get on board. So make sure you do, Anne-Marie. I'm looking forward to working with you. Mark, again, just if I miss any questions, please just bring them up.
Yeah, I mean, Leo's asking, he's asking for recommendations of cities. He said, what city do you recommend for HMOs, e.g. Hull, Sheffield?
Good question. I'll tell you what we do is we will teach you the best areas to invest in. We can't tell you, but we will teach you so you can make your own mind up and you'll know where to invest. And that knowledge will then be with you forever. So you'll always know how to find a good area. But some areas in Liverpool are good, some aren't. Some areas in Berkshire are good, some aren't. Some areas in London are good, some aren't. So it's about teaching you how to recognise the ones that are. and the ones that aren't? There's a really, really good question here. Why don't you buy properties that are already converted into HMOs? I do sometimes, and we do sometimes, but most of the time there are inflated prices and you can't really add enough significant value, or a bad landlord has already ruined them. By having the knowledge on how to actually go and find properties and convert them into HMOs, you're going to get them a lot cheaper, below market value. You're going to be able to add a lot more money, a lot more value to them. So you'll make much, much more money doing it the way that we teach you.
What else we got? How do you predict areas that are likely to appreciate in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, really good question. So for me, I look at everything. I speak to agents. I look at the last 10 years. Okay, I look at the next 10 years. So for example, an area near me, Reading was one of the best places to invest 12 years ago. It was voted the best place to invest 4 years running. But property prices have sort of got to where they can go 10 years, 12 years later. And the redevelopment's already taken place. So I know that there'll be natural capital appreciation, but not a great deal. So look for areas that are up and coming. Look at the areas that are being developed. Look at areas that are joining and bordering on other nice areas. They're some of the best ways to know where an area and where appreciation is going over the next 10, 12 years. I'm very, very lucky. I spent 22 years part of directing a large estate agency. So, you know, all I did every day of my life was look at figures, numbers, prices, what markets were doing, and I worked across 7 different markets. So I love teaching people how to do that now. Good.
Okay. Yeah, we've got one here. How do you open an HMO in an Article 4 area?
Yeah, you just need full planning permission. You just apply to the council, liaise with the council, speak to the council, put a planning application in, show them what you're looking to do, hopefully show them the quality and standards that you want to work towards, what type of tenants, and yeah, it's not impossible, but it's just a longer drawn out process. Again, I mean, we have people that fill out and complete the licenses for investors, and we have people we can help with the planning permissions. So we can do all of that with people, but a lot of the time you don't need to, because there are other areas within a half-mile radius that work just as well, which can be a lot easier. Will you be able to provide strategies, help for someone absolutely brand new in property? Yeah, absolutely. I love, for me personally, I love working with people who are new to property. I love it because they're a blank canvas. Yeah, they're willing to listen and learn all our good habits, learn from all our mistakes, and learn all the current strategies, where sometimes the more mature investor can be set in their laurels, used to doing something a certain way. So I love helping new property investors. I'll tell you what I'm going to do for the next 3 people. The next 3 people, Mark, if you just keep a note, that sign up tonight, $4.95 per month on the link below the price, I'm going to give you a free tour day with me. So I'm going to take you out and I'm going to give you a tour of some of my and my clients' HMOs. We'll have lunch and we'll spend a day together, or half a day together. It is when we start finishing, and we'll review a load of my properties. I'll show you some at the beginning of the when we've just completed, some sort of midway and halfway through the refurb, some where the furniture packs have gone in, and some completed ones. And you can pick my brains for half a day. Okay, that's for the next 3 people that book a place. So yeah, so I usually charge about $2 a day, by the way, for my time. So that's only for the next 3 people. Okay, so some more questions. Cristiano, I love the name Cristiano. Where have you gone? Not playing football this evening. What is blue chip companies? Yeah, good question. Why would you know? So blue chip companies, big companies, Fujitsu, Dell, IBM, for example. So big companies, I like to do HMOs where there are big companies based, because I know there'd be professional tenants from those companies that would love my luxury rooms. Peter, hello, my friend, how are you? Peter's on our online mentorship. I saw him last night. Let me send you the video. We do send a recording to everybody that signs up. Yes. George is here. The HMO brothers. How are you guys? Good to see you. Maybe a question for you, Mark. If I join the online mentorship, I'm looking to do 7+ bed HMOs and splitting commercial blocks into apartments. Can you help me with that as well?
Absolutely. I mean, so we had the largest HMO we've had was 14 beds with 17 tenants in it, and we're just looking at one at the moment, 18. So yeah, seven beds is, to be honest with you, 7 beds is not an ideal number. 6 or 8 is better, but
I
certainly
completely agree. Sorry, Mark, go on.
No, that's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Yes, 6 or 8 is better. Yeah.
I completely agree with Mark, by the way. If you're going to go big and do planning permission, you really want to go 9 or 10 bedrooms. But I just think 6-bedroom HMOs are the most well-balanced HMOs. It's a good amount of people to get on, to look after the property, to create a family unit. So I think it works really well. I like Cassie's comment. Are you really going to spend half a day with us, or are you just blagging? Of course I am. I've said I will, and I promise you, you will come out, you will see some of me and my clients' portfolio. I'll show you different stages of where they are, and you can pick my brains for morning or afternoon or half a day, which I think is worth way more than this anyway. What kind of costs do you account for? So what we do, we'll actually give you the figure sheets, so you can put in the numbers, and it will tell you to think about gardening, repairs, refurb costs, everything you need to account for, or more or less, with and without VAT. And we'll give you those sheets so you can work them all out. We'll give you furniture kit inventory lists, so you can have those as well. So yeah, that's all part of the information vault.
Sian, is it, or Sean? You're asking about the minimum amount of money you need for deposit to get the best value out of the mentorship. To be honest with you, I think as long as you've got, firstly, the right attitude and mindset, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a common misconception you need a lot of money. If you've got a lot of money, fantastic. But if you haven't, you've got something, it's a starting point, and we can help you build from that. I can tell you now, the portfolio that we've built between us, we couldn't have done on our own with our own money. Okay, we had to find money, and we'll show you exactly the same methods that we've used to find money from other people.
Yeah, I mean, with rent to rent now, with joint ventures, there's so many different ways that we can help you make money from property if you've got the right mindset. So you do not need money, you need a good mindset. And even the people with money eventually run out. Everyone runs out of money eventually. So please remember that. You definitely do not need money, you need the right mindset.
Is there a negative of having no bathroom in an HMO if all the rooms have en suites?
Oh, what a question. I'm glad you made that. I'm glad you asked that question. So yeah, so a lot of people put en suites in every room, which can increase the value of a room. In some areas in the UK, if you have more than 4 bathrooms in any way, shape or form in a 6-bedroom HMO, you can be liable for council tax with every single room. So rather than just paying council tax for the house, you could be liable for paying council tax for 6 bedrooms. Now, the average area where I work, it's £200 council tax. If all of a sudden you're paying £1,200 a month council tax, which I know some investors did, then it could be eating up the majority of your profit. So I'm always looking into the future, teaching how to adapt with the current rules and what could change in the future. And I think this will be a rule that gets rolled out in more and more areas. So my advice is 3 to 4 bathrooms is ideal for a 6-bedroom HMO, and works really well, and it's sort of foolproof for the future. I remember meeting a couple of investors about 5 years ago in Reading, and they said, look, Peter, we appreciate your advice, but we want to do en-suites in every room. I said, trust me, don't. I said, you won't get any more money for the rooms, because professional tenants want bigger rooms, good furniture, nice shared accommodation. You're not going to get more. They're happy to share a nice bathroom between two, but they went ahead and did it. I warned them about the council tax and they didn't listen, and they put their whole portfolio on the market about 2 years ago, and some of it's still not sold, because no one who's going to buy a house with 6 en-suites. It's going to cost a load of money to convert it back to a house, and if you run it as a HMO, you've got to pay council tax on 6 rooms. So you've got to be really careful, and that is why you need a mentor to stop those mistakes ever happening. It will save you tens of thousands of pounds in the future. I pay about 25 grand for 6 months of mentorship, and I will always have a mentor. I don't care how much experience I've got, don't care how many people I teach, I will always have a mentor, because I need a mentor. I like to be accounted for some certain things. I always, doesn't matter how many companies I have, how many pairs of shoes I have a shoe fetish, by the way. I have about 350 pairs of shoes. I will always want more, and I will always want to do better. So I think we all need a mentor, being completely honest with you. The course seems to be for established investors, Kevin. Honestly, it's a mentorship. It's not a course. And we've got a really good balance of experienced and novice investors. And I love the investors that have never, ever invested before, because they're a blank canvas, and they listen and they learn. Saying that, I also love investors who have a little bit of experience and a lot of experience. And within the group, to have that balance of all three is really important for the progression of everybody. And you don't just get the benefit of Mark, Jackie and I, you get the benefit of each other. And, Roger will hopefully comment if he's still here. But a lot of the guys on our mentorships have become friends. They network with each other. And some of them do joint venture with each other and offer different opportunities to each other. So, yeah, really good. I think one of the great things about the mentorship is it creates your own little property network, which include Mark, Jackie and myself.
Hi, Sharon again. I see you're asking about will you be able to provide strategies to help someone starting in property who hasn't had a personal mortgage before? Very simply, yes. There are plenty of things you can do to help you get on the ladder, and we can show you how to do that. So not a problem whatsoever, Sean. And I hope I've pronounced your name correctly.
How much is our rent-to-rent training? Yeah, if you're interested in our rent-to-rent mentorship, it's exactly same as what we're offering this evening. I think it's about $750 a month, but message Mark and I'm sure he'd do you some sort of deal because you're on here. But if you join this tonight, then I'm sure Mark will do something if he's in a good mood. He does that with Justin. But as I say, yeah, another question about strategy. We cover every property strategy you could think of. Is there a negative of having no bar? We've done that one. This will be my first HMO, so appreciate the advice. Yeah, if it's going to be your first HMO, it's the most important. Remember what I said, make your money when you buy. So take your time, don't be rushed. Make sure everything you've learned tonight, okay, is taken into consideration. If you have any other questions, then get on the mentorship so we can make sure you don't make mistakes and we can help you along the way.
George, have we had any experience in crowdfunding platforms to raise money? Well, as you know, George, I'm part of a crowdfunding platform to raise money. I've not personally raised money through a crowdfunding platform, but there are several thousand people that have. It's not as complicated as you might think. There's a lot of due diligence required, and it could be done potentially for an HMO, but I don't think anybody's done it yet. So.
Mark, can you calculate? Can you do an example of calculating a yield, please?
Yeah, the yield is quite straightforward, guys. So you've got gross yield, which is essentially the gross income divided by the purchase price. Okay, then times by 100 to get the percentage. And of course, the net yield, which is your net income after all costs, again divided by the purchase price, times by 100. Pretty straightforward. You're asking about commercial mortgages, Sam, on HMOs. I'm guessing the point behind that question is something to do with commercial valuations, and it's something that we don't believe in. There are some that do, but at the end of the day, it's a house you're converting, and unless there's something substantially different about the house, it's always going to be a house.
Yeah. For me, Mark's. Oh, sorry, Mark. Carry on.
No, go on, mate.
For me, Mark's absolutely right. If you're buying an old pub, or if you're buying a big plot and you want to turn it into a 12-bed HMO, and you're looking to keep that as a HMO for the next 20 years, then that is the time for me to consider a commercial mortgage. But what a lot of people were teaching badly, wrongly, incorrectly 5 or 6 years ago were to get a normal bricks and mortar family home and then get a commercial valuation on it. So the value of the home is 350, the commercial valuation is 400, 450, and then you take the difference in equity. But obviously that was making a lot of people in negative equity. A lot of people got repossessed because of it. So now the FSA are very, very strict on it, and you shouldn't be really looking to do that. And people should not be teaching it anymore. So yeah, so just be very wary with commercial valuations. But hey, if you buy the right house, you can add enough value to it. You can buy it below market value. You can make stupid money anyway. So you don't really need to do that anymore.
So Michael, you're asking about tax advice on income. So does our mentorship include tax advice on income, sole trading, limited companies, etc., SPVs? Yes, it does. I mean, we put you in touch with our accountant who will help you guide you through what's the best way of setting up, and also our recommended financial advisor as well.
Yeah, we had a similar question from Edward. Do we get access to your power team if we sign up for the online mentorship? Yes, you do. You get access to our solicitors, 3 different types of solicitors, 3 different types of accountants, 2 different financial and wealth advisors, knowledge from our refurb team and our refurb team, the 3 of us, our rent-to-rent mentor, our new home mentor, our architects, anybody you need, yes, you do. And I think it's Faye that was talking about rent-to-rent, asking if we have letters to send to landlords. Yes, we do. There's 5 or 6 different ways that you can get rent-to-rent through landlords direct, through estate agents, and some other really clever ways that we'll teach you as well. Excellent. Okay, good. If any of you are getting any new questions off the back of what we're saying, or off the back of the mentorship and what's on offer, then please just ask. Mark, can you get the link back on, please, so people can still book? Bear with us, guys. Sorry about that. There you go.
So it's quite a few of you still online, so if you've got questions, now's the time to ask.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. We promised we'd answer every single question, and we will. Yeah. There's one more place available. If the next person that books, will get the last place for a half day, a HMO day and tour with myself. So 1 person left. Let's have a look what we've got. Questions coming in again. How many months is it? 6 or 12? It's for 6. Okay, only for 6 months. Cheapest mentorship we've ever done. We ever will do. But once you're in our network, you're in. Once you're part of the PMA family, you're part of the PMA family. So get yourself in tonight. As I said, this is probably going to be the last chance anyone is ever going to be able to be mentored with us for less than £30,000, which is our standard 12-month mentorship, which has a little more face-to-face, but The interaction weekly is quite incredible with this mentorship. Okay, so any more questions? Have a look. If you're buying brilliant question. If you're buying, and I could answer questions all night. There's so much to teach you with HMOs, so much to teach you with the variety of different property strategies. But loving answering these questions. If you buy a property and it has a HMO license, I presume you don't need to worry about it. Yes, you do. If somebody is selling a property and it has a HMO license, in most areas, if you buy that off them, you have to apply for your own independent license. Okay, really important. So not in every area. In some areas, you can only buy HMOs which are licensed, but in the majority of areas, you will have to reapply for your license. So yeah, really good question. Okay.
Can you purchase an HMO as your first property, Ella? Yes, can be done with the right advice. We've certainly had some of our mentees that have done that. So you need a good financial advisor to help you, good mortgage broker, but it can certainly be done.
If you were investing in a 4-bed HMO, how much would you spend? I'll be honest, I wouldn't invest in a 4-bed HMO. Okay, you don't need to. We'll teach you how to find 5- and 6-bedroom HMOs, certainly 5-bed HMOs for the same price. So you will not need to. You will not need to.
Not sure if you've answered this one already, Peter. From Ash, she says, can you have kitchens in bedrooms for HMOs if they use the same main entrance, or is that counted as a self-contained flat?
Yeah, no, you can't. You don't need to. Council don't like it. Licensing doesn't like it. But there's no real benefit in it. I'll be really honest. If you're dealing with tenants, whether they're students, professionals, key workers, they love to live in their bedroom where they can watch TV, they can relax, they can work, potentially even eat at a desk where they work as well. But most people will like a proper kitchen, nicer kitchen, bigger kitchen, and they don't mind sharing. But no, I mean, a long time ago, you did find that quite a lot. They almost become self-contained units. Council don't like them, licensing don't like them, and tenants don't like them. So there's no need to do those anymore. Good question, mate. So many different areas here. We will teach you how to find an area near you where you can invest, by the way. Whether that's HMOs or whether that's anything else. I mean, we've had people join our mentorship that were looking to do HMOs. Now they're doing lease options or now they're doing property sourcing. I have a very successful property sourcing company. Part of it is a HMO portfolio building company. And yeah, if that's what you're looking to do, then we can help you do that as well. Would you say Derby is saturated for HMOs? Hey, speak to every single estate agent to see what they say. Put up a dummy ad, see what the response is, okay, so you can make your own mind up. Okay, just a couple of tips there on how you can find out. The danger is when you can be lazy, and if there are 6 or 7 agents, you only speak to 2. You really need to speak to every single one. And remember, an estate agent is always working for the seller, never the investor. So just bear that in mind when you are speaking to them. Right, I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do one more place on the HMO tour. One more place. I can add one more, and then I can take you all together. So next person that books, join us. Oh yeah. Do you answer that one, Mark? Does your package include the income on sole trading?
Yeah, I answered that one. That was to get introduction to our accountant that will go through all that kind of stuff.
You can answer this one, Mark, because I sort of did already. Yeah. Peter mentioned that the mentors are very different. What are their main differences? Be nice.
Okay, let's be nice. So we'll start with Jackie because you're not here. So Jackie's probably, or no, never, not probably, she is the best coach that we've got. And if you need a shoulder to cry on or whatever, Jackie's the person to talk to. Very good at getting the best out of people. Peter, you've got to go some to keep up with him, let me tell you. Very energetic, quite direct as well. So if you don't like directness, speak to Jackie. And me, I'm just very direct. If you want to hear a flowery answer, ask Jackie. If you don't care what kind of answer you get, ask me, and you'll definitely get it. So pretty direct. So that's kind of the main differences. We have other people obviously within our team as well, but it's myself, Jackie, and Peter that run the main part of the mentorship.
I'd say the one thing we all have in common is we care. We want to try and make a difference. We want to, get to know and work with our mentees for a long, long time. We want it to be, always want each new group to be the start of something special. We like to mix all the groups together. We do a charity ball every year, and we always get everybody together, and it's really good. And we just got a really strong network, which you'll become part of long term as well. And I think my big pet hate in property is there is just so many training courses, and you go on a training course after a training course and a networking event after a networking event, and then 12 months later you're more or less in the same position and still just as confused as you were 12 years ago, 12 months ago. And I think the good thing about mentorship and mentors is they hold you accountable, they care, and they make a difference. And I think that's exactly what we do. Okay, good. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, everyone. So please, if you're thinking about joining us on the online mentorship, please, there's the link. Mark, can you put the link in the question so they can click on it?
Yeah.
And then those of you still here, you will receive a follow-up email from us as well. Has everyone enjoyed it tonight? Has everyone taken something from it? Those of you that have wanted a mentor, we're really looking forward to working with you. And we're booked a one-to-one introduction call with you this week, and then it starts next Tuesday. If you can't make next Tuesday, then we're arranged the necessary with you as well. And those of you coming for the HMO day, we'll get that booked in. But I'm hoping you've all enjoyed it. Please comment below. Excellent. So new questions just come in. Can I double check? Is this just a HMO mentorship, or does it cover other strategies? So it covers all strategies. Our mentorship covers all property strategies, HMOs, property sourcing, development, commercial to residential, lease options, purchase options. Okay, all the property strategies working in today's property market are covered on our mentorship, and the price is usually over £1,000. For tonight, if you're listening to this webinar, it's $495 plus VAT per month with all the bonuses. Just click on that link. But yeah, it's all property strategies. There's been 5 webinars over 10 weeks throughout COVID with a different subject each fortnight, and a different deal available for the mentorship. So yeah, it does. Do you manage to get that on, Mark?
Yep, done.
Excellent, well done. Does that answer your question, Tina? Please, if it doesn't, feel free to comment again. Land assembly is covered, yes. We love land assembly. Something Mark, Jackie and I always do. I mean, Mark, Jackie and I are practicing what we preach, by the way. We're always out viewing. We do land assembly. We're doing developments. We're converting a post office into apartments. I've got probably one of the most successful, biggest property sourcing companies in the UK. We're always investing in HMOs. Land assembly will be covered, Tina. It will be covered, okay, by all three of us. It's something all three of us do together. So it will be covered, Tina. Some really good questions from Tina. I'm looking forward to working with you, I hope, Tina. Some great questions. We love land assembly. It's a great strategy. I love Exeter as well, actually. Nice place. Okay, good. Okay, any other questions? When does it start? Did you answer that, Mark? I think we both did, didn't we?
Well, it starts straight away, guys. So, you know, as soon as you register, you get immediate access to the online platform. And if you're just starting out, there is a 5-step starter, which tells you exactly the things you need to watch first. Okay, and it gives you a number of things you need to do as well. So you get access to all that. Don't try and blast through the whole platform in one go. You'll find it so overwhelming. Just follow the first 5 steps and then take the rest at your own pace. You'll get immediate access to the private Facebook group. There's a link on the platform which you need to go to connect to the group, and then you will join the call on next Tuesday evening. So it literally starts straight away. So you can post straight away on the Facebook group, get access to the resources, and you'll be on the call next Tuesday as well.
A couple of questions just come in. Are we committed to paying £2,970 up front? Is that Roger? No, you're not. You're not at all. You pay £495. So you pay £495. That covers the first month, every single week. It covers everything, all the bonuses we went through. I mean, we're so confident in what we do and how we do it. We don't take it all up front. It's £495 a month. So you could be on there for 1 month and then you can say, right, it's not for me. But that never happens. We've never had anyone drop out for that reason. So no, the commitment is only £495. And as I say, we're that confident you're going to get what you want from it. But yeah, you'll obviously see it through for the 6 months. So yeah, we're very transparent and we want to make it as easy and cheap as possible for everybody while we can. Good. Let's have a look. Any more questions? Sasha, any more questions? You answered some good questions.
Yeah, I'm not sure what your question is, Jay, saying how long will it last? Not quite sure what you're referring to.
The mentorship will last for 6 months and then you'll have an option for it to last forever. And you'll always be part of the PMA network. So once you're in, you're in. So tonight is all about getting in, having a taster. And if you're starting, it's about setting the foundations and moving you forward. If you're an existing investor, it's about how we help you improve and turbocharge what you're doing. Excellent. Okay, any more questions? I think we've got 2 or 3 minutes longer. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes longer. Then we have to go. So if you've got any questions, HMO property mentor related, now is the time.
Really good question from Ash. So you joined late, so not sure if this was answered, but is there a maximum amount of people you can have in the house with 6 bedrooms? E.g., can some bedrooms have a couple or 2 people?
Excellent question. So if you have more than 6 people in a 7, so more than 6 people in a 6-bedroom HMO, so 7 people in a 6-bed HMO, that still classes as planning permission needed. Okay, so it's 5 or 6 bedrooms and 5 or 6 people is a HMO license. 7 people plus or 7 bedrooms plus is a HMO license required and full planning permission. So yeah, really good question. We have specific rules where Obviously, you've got to be realistic. Sometimes people will bring people back to the house, maybe a partner they've met, and we're happy for that to happen 1 night a week, 2 maximum, provided they let us know. But they must never, ever be left in the property without the person on the AST, on the agreement, which is really important. We have house rules for all our properties to help the tenants understand how we run them and to get the best out of them. Okay. Excellent. Any more questions? Good. Guys, still a lot of you in here. Now is the time. Now is the time to commit.
Okay, what time is it? So 5 more minutes, and that's it. Won't take any more questions. So if you still a lot of you online for some reason. So if you're not booking, I guess you got a question. If you're booking, hurry up, please, because there's literally a few seconds left. So answer the question. Ask a question or book, one or the other.
2 options. 2 options. Ask a question, but 3 options. Ask a question, book, or go and get a cup of tea, and we'll see you in the future. Okay, still a lot of no one's getting a cup of tea. Come on, ask your question. Get yourself booked on. We're never going to do this online mentorship. If you don't see this webinar, you're not going to find our online mentorship. So if you've got anything holding you back, anything you're unsure about, please just ask us. Otherwise, click on that link and come and join the best property team in the UK. Let's start making you some money and having some fun. Property should be rewarding, should be motivating, should be fun. It gives you a support network, it gives you motivation, gives you a team, gives you property friends, gives you confidence. Whatever you need, this is what the mentorship is all about. Not many of you getting tea. I hope you're booking. Hope I'm going to see your lovely faces next Tuesday. Whenever you're listening to this webinar, it will be next Tuesday. 495, £495 to have 3 mentors, all the bonuses on a weekly basis. Crazy, crazy, crazy. What is everybody waiting for? Come on, guys. And have a nice hot bath, a glass of wine, or change your life and book one of our last places. on this awesome mentorship.
Okay, I think that's it. For those that you left, thanks for your time this evening. Hope you enjoyed it. Those of you who've signed up, fantastic. We will see you on the Facebook group and on next Tuesday's call. The link for that call is in the Facebook group. Okay, so look forward to speaking with you. The rest of you, good luck with what you're doing. You've still got time until tomorrow to take advantage of this offer. So if you need to talk to your other half, your partner, business partner, whatever it may be, talk to them by tomorrow, and that link will still work at that price. Okay, thanks again, and have a good evening.
Thanks everyone, thanks for listening, and I hope to see some of you soon. No doubt. Good luck in your property future.